Hello grade 12, welcome to the last push program brought to you by Chakani Institution, #Our Pride is More Educational. Wherever you are, make sure that you have a pen, a paper and a calculator. And more important, don't forget to subscribe, like and share our YouTube channel. It's about to go down. Hello Mzansi, welcome to Chakani Institution. Our pride is more educational. My name is Chakani Lutendo and I'm here for grade 12 accounting. So in grade 12 accounting, you need to know that first of all, we have two papers. Paper 1, paper 2. So in those papers, there are different chapters that we have as per paper. So first of all, today I want us to analyze paper 1. And in our paper 1, I want us to focus on cash flow statement and financial indicators. So you need to know that before you attempt any question paper, you must have expectations on how are they going to ask you questions and which question are they going to ask you. In cash flow statements, we have 4 activities. Number 1, the first activity on the cash flow is the cash flow from operations activity. That is the first activity. And on that activity, they are going to ask you number 1. They are going to ask you to calculate the income tax paid, to calculate a cash flow from generated, to calculate a dividends paid, to calculate an interest paid. So those are the questions that are based on the first activity of the cash flow. Number 2, we have an activity called a cash flow from financing activity. What are the things they are going to ask you there? Number 1, under financial activity, they will ask you about issued share. They will ask you about total repurchase of shares. They will ask you about the changes in loan. That is activity number 2. Number 3, we have an activity called a cash flow from investing activity. So under the cash flow from investing activity, number 1, they are going to ask you to calculate the purchase of assets. They are going to ask you to calculate the proceeds of sales of assets. They are going to ask you to calculate the changes in fixed deposit or financial assets. That is activity number 3. Number 4, they are going to ask you to determine the net change in cash and cash equivalent, where you need to consider the bank overdraft, whether it was at the beginning or it was at the end. So those are the activities that you need to be ready to calculate based on the cash flow. And when you are doing the cash flow, students, make sure that you also understand how to prepare the financial notes. Notes to the financial statements. Number 1, we have a very much important note. Ordinary share capital is very much important. Retained income is very much important, meaning that you need to know how to prepare those notes. And then lastly, when we go to the financial indicators, there are financial indicators that we know. Each and every paper 1, they are always there on the cash flow statement chapter. Number 1, they will ask you to calculate the current ratio, which is the liquidity also. They will ask you to calculate acid test. They will ask you to calculate N per share, dividends per share. They will ask you to calculate a percentage return on average shareholders' equity. They will ask you to calculate a percentage return on total capital employed. They will ask you to calculate a dividend paid. I have already mentioned that. They will also ask you to calculate the debt equity ratio, net assets value per share, solvency ratio, and also percentage operating expense. So these are the financial indicators that are likely to come on the cash flow statement. So this is just a summary on what are we going to do on the cash flow statement and financial indicators. See you on the next episode.